I lost 800 LP and fell from gold 1 all the way to the bottom of silver 4. This was already after I'd played about 100 rank games, so my account's MMR and rank were pretty set in stone. By the end of the fall, I was losing 25 LP for every loss, and I was only gaining about 15 for each win. After that, I changed how I approached the game. I narrowed my champion pool down. I won 67% of my next 40 games, climbed myself all the way back to gold while fixing my MMR in the process, and this is how I did it.
The fun begins.
I think my fall was a combination of caring too much about climbing, having some genuinely bad games that happened, getting some bad teammates that happens to everyone, and then I let all of that build on top of itself. The further I fell, the worse I started playing, until eventually I was barely winning any games at all, even on the champions that I've originally climbed with and been playing for many years. At that point, I took a few days off playing, tried to decide what I was going to do next, because doing the same thing over and over again obviously wasn't working anymore.
Sure you can handle me, summoner?
So what I did was I narrowed my champion pool down. I stopped playing my favorite champions like Caitlyn, Jhin, Tristana, Varus, the ones who had been working with me before. And instead, I started playing Missfortune almost every single game, unless she was either banned or taken by the enemy team. Now, I'm not actually new to Missfortune. She's a champion that I played a lot a few years ago, back when the rune and mastery systems were different. Shout out to Duskblade and Greenfather's Gift. So I wasn't learning a brand new champion or just picking something with a high win rate and thinking that it was gonna make me win games. I was stepping back into a champion that I already had a ton of experience on before. I still think that my skill ceiling for champions like Jhin, Caitlyn, and Tristana is definitely higher in the right matchups. They bring more in their kits that you can do. They have utility focus, self-pill, movement, different things like that. But what Missfortune gave me was something more useful for climbing, at least for right now. A simple, repeatable plan that I can do every single game.
Slow and steady won't win this war.
The first part of my plan was trying to create an advantage in lane as quickly as possible. Missfortune's early game damage is a lot higher than people expect, especially with press the attack, and I found that a lot of players simply didn't respect how quickly I could kill them, or how one-sided the short trades could be. Whereas with the other champions I normally play like Caitlyn, my mindset is, if I combo everything perfectly, I can outplay these people. With Missfortune, I'm not thinking about a super complicated mechanical play every game. I'm just taking short trades, press the attack procs, opportunities to punish someone, especially using her love tap passive for people who keep walking in and out of trades over and over again, so I'm getting extra damage when I switch targets. Most people, when they're playing against Missfortune, especially in silver, the only thing that they're worried about is not standing behind minions so they don't get hit with that second part of her Q ability. But really, especially if you're running press the attack, she can auto someone, Q them, and get the third auto to proc press the attack almost instantly, the way that her Q and auto attacks work. So by the time it happens, they've already been chunked for a large portion of their health, lost the trade, and you now have your advantage. Once you get that first advantage from a good trade or a good fight, and you either get a kill or send them back to base, your game becomes a lot simpler. She's a champion who rushes Collector almost every game, so you get that first good trade, you get a plate or two, you come back with some long swords or a dirk, depending on if you got that kill, and now your game just became much, much simpler to play. And then press the attack has such a short cooldown that you can basically use it for every single trade in lane. So by the time they've realized it, they're so low that they're either going to die to me, or they're going to have to go back to lane, and then they're just going to fall behind in CS. The easiest trade pattern for her, for most people, they think it is trying to line up that second Q to get the crit proc from it. And while that does work really well, you don't actually have to put, all of your effort into that. She's set up where if you use your attack click move button, whichever one you have set up, usually it's like a click, or everyone has it set up to something differently, but if you click that onto an enemy champion and then also click Q right after it, she will walk up, fire both of them almost exactly at the same time with a no windup, and then that gets you your first two attacks for press the attack, and then you auto attack one more time, you've proc press the attack, And you can either keep going if you have room to chase them, or you can back off after that, wait for press the attack to reset, and then do it all over.
I know what I'm doing.
The next part of my plan that made everything repeatable was going to be a little bit more controversial, and that's the summoner spells I take. So I actually run Flash Ghost in 90% of my games. I know almost all other ADCs are running Heal or Barrier. Obviously, this worked for me. I had a 67% win rate doing this, so it's something that maybe you would want to try. The reason that Ghost worked so well for me is because Missfortune already is a very quick champion, especially if the enemy isn't fighting you and they're running away from you with her W passive, and then the auto or the active on her W, which gives her back the movement speed whenever you press it. So there'll be times where you've won that trade, they're running away. Normally they would escape because they flash away or something. But with Missfortune, if you do the same thing, you flash after them, you press your W to reactivate the movement speed buff on it, and then you press Ghost. There are almost no bot lane champions that if they don't CC you, they can get away from you in that instance. If they're getting away with, they just used Barrier, they're barely escaping, they flash, you pop W, flash, Ghost, almost nobody can escape you. And then talking about Ghost on Missfortune outside of lane, there's a lot of times where team fights, enemies will get away where they've run out of mana, they're low health, they flash a wall or whatever it may be. Then because of Missfortune's movement speed and your good positioning to make sure that you're not low health and you've already won the fight because you're going to have that good positioning, right? You're ghosting after them, you can clean up these kills. Think about it, if Ghost gets you 2 or 3 kills in the mid game that you wouldn't have normally had because now you're able to run people down, that's a lot more gold than the enemy ADC is going to have, and that's just going to be another thing that gives you an advantage that helps you win these games.
Only 5 hostiles? They're getting cocky.
The other reason that Missfortune worked so well for me, outside of just having a dominant laning phase, is that with her ultimate, she has an ability where she creates a ton of space for your team. And if you have any other champions with AoE abilities like a Mumu, Nico ult, Leona ult, those give her basically a free setup to use your ultimate, where even if you don't always get a kill with it, you're going to lay out a ton of damage that can completely turn a fight. You can be in a game where you're slightly behind, but you get a really good Missfortune ult at a dragon fight, suddenly you get the dragon, when you shouldn't have on any other ADC because your team is behind, right? But because of Missfortune's ultimate, bullet time, you're able to take that advantage for your team. On top of that, there's going to be games where on ADC, you feel like if you get close to any of the enemies, you're just going to blow up, especially if they've got like a Vigar or a Kayn or somebody who's just going to do a ton of damage if you get anywhere near them. So on most other ADCs, you feel like you can't play safely and still do damage. Where on Missfortune, you can walk up, maybe you're over a wall, maybe you're just far back from your team, but you get that ultimate and you're able to still put out a ton of consistent damage that other ADCs are just not able to do safely. So that's another advantage that she had on top of other champions. So even though there were games where I didn't come out ahead, whether that be I just got outplayed, whether it be I got a bad gank that happened a couple of times, whether I misplayed or tried to take an iffy kill and got myself killed, there's still tons of opportunities where you can be useful because you're playing Missfortune. Every game, I still had a really clear, play style. The trades were easy. Even if lane didn't go well, I'd be behind. We get to the team fight stage, I have my collector first item. I can look for a good ultimate on top of it, and suddenly I pick up 2 or 3 kills with my collector, and even though I was behind, I'm back in the game.
Fortune doesn't favor fools.
On top of everything that I said, another thing that I think really helped me climb is I almost never surrender. Especially whenever I'm playing Missfortune, I'm running something like Collector every single game. In these games where you're behind or you're losing a lot and you're barely winning fights, all it takes, especially on Collector, especially on someone like Missfortune who can do a ton of AoE damage, is just picking up a few kills to get you, to your second, third, fourth item, whatever it may be. And suddenly the game goes from like, oh, I'm barely doing anything, to now you're a champion that you're two-shotting the enemy jungler. You're walking up, the enemy mid laner like the Syndra blows up your mid laner, but now all of her abilities are down. You walk up, you get your press the attack proc, you have your collector, and now you've got the damage where you blow up their fed person. So not surrendering has won me a ton of games that normally would have been losses. In Silver, games get thrown constantly. I've been the one who threw the game. I've been the one who picks up a thrown game because somebody tries to make a hero play and gives the enemy team some shutdowns. There are too many times where you can turn a game around just off of somebody else misplaying that giving up is really doing yourself a disservice when you're really trying to climb.
The fun begins.
Now, this wasn't just a few good games where everything went right. I played over 40 games. During that time, I had a 67% win rate. It was almost entirely solo queue. I maybe had 4 or 5 games where I duoed with someone from the game before. Usually, if I lost a game and somebody on my team was really good, I'd invite them to play an extra game to try to get that game's LP back, because I think that works out pretty well. Usually it's just for one game, and then we both move on. Really, I think the most important thing was just play Missfortune every single game, no matter what is shown, whether even if it's tanks, if it's someone who I normally would think Missfortune is not good into, unless it is banned or taken by the enemy team, I would play Missfortune every single game, because that would give me where my muscle memory was set up from playing Missfortune so much that on every single fight, trade, I basically knew what I needed to do without having to overthink anything. Keeping all of this in mind and then playing to what my game plan is every single game basically got me to completely flip my account, where before I was only gaining 15 LP per game and losing 25. Now my account is gold again. I'm gaining around 22 LP every time I win. I'm only losing 18. At one point, I had a 5-game stretch where I got 29 kills, 24, 20. I had a game where I went 13-0, and then another game where I had 16 kills, and this was just 5 games in a row. So I don't want it to sound like that I'm just telling everyone to go play Missfortune, that she's easy wins. I would rather people understand that what I'm trying to say is that pick a champion that you really understand that's easy for you to play. Focus on what you can do in the game. Focus on your trading patterns, getting early advantages, not giving up games, especially in Silver where people can throw all the time, and focus on what you can do with that champion to win yourself the game. For me, doing this, switching champions, it was good enough for me to win 67% of my games going forward. It completely repaired my account's MMR, bringing me back to where I was getting positive LP gains. It took me from the bottom of Silver all the way back to gold doing this. Maybe if you're stuck in Silver, or if you're in a different rank and you've fallen down and you're unsure what is happening, maybe this advice could help you the way that it helped me. Sometimes the best thing to do, instead of chasing what has the highest win rates, is to just simplify the game and focus on what you can do to win that game going forward. That's what worked for me, and I hope it works for you guys.